welcome to Soul Symbols. My name is Shelley. I'm a writer, an astrologer, and a card reader, and I'd like to welcome you to my channel. Happy Tuesday. It is How to Tarot Tuesday, and what that is it's a video series where every week we talk about one of the 78 card tarot, and then what we do is we take 3 tarot decks. The first deck is always the Rider-Waite-Smith, and then the second and third decks I choose based on the artwork that I think best represents the card that we're discussing. After we've done a brief introduction, the first half of the video talks about the meaning of the card in question, and then the second half of the video, you, the viewer, get to choose from the 3 tarot decks, and we do a quick spread to see how that card manifests in your life. I clarify using oracle cards, and if you ever want to skip straight to your reading, and if you want to skip the how-to part, the timestamps as well as the authors and the names and authors of the decks that I use are all in the description box below. So if you ever want to jump straight to the reading part, please feel free. Today we are starting off on the last suit of the How to Tarot series. We have been through all the majors. We have been through the fire signs, the earth signs, the air signs, and now we are starting off with the water signs. So today we get to talk about one of the more beloved cards. I always say there's no bad cards in tarot, but this card is really a special one. It's one that always makes everyone smile when it comes up in a read. We're talking about the Ace of Cups. So again, just to reiterate, if you ever want to skip past the how-to part, please click on the timestamp. If you click on the pick a deck, choose your deck, it'll take you right to the deck selection, and then you can choose which pile you want and then skip forward to your reading. But we're going to go ahead and jump right in today. The Ace of Cups is one of the most beloved cards. When you look at the card, you see a hand, a glowing hand coming out of a cloud. And the hand is holding a chalice that is overflowing with water. Above the cup, there is a bird that looks like a dove of peace holding what looks like a cross or a wafer. On the cup, there is an emblem of the letter W, and then, pouring, like overflowing from the cup, is water. The water is streaming down into a pool or a lake of very serene, still water. And in the water, you see water lilies that are popping up on the water surface. Now, water, or the water suit in tarot, always means emotions. It means instinct. It means intuition and like the visceral, the more emotion-based connection to the universe. And so first off, when we first see the ace, just like all the other aces, when we look at any other ace, an ace is a strong beginning. It's the start. It's a springboard to something. So when you look at the Ace of Cups, the first thing we think of is really strong emotional force, something that is very heart-centered and very overflowing, right? Something that's abundant and something that's very strong, and you think of wellspring, right? Like a well, like an internal well. So, a lot of times the ace talks about using your emotional force. It's about getting in touch with your feelings, or making a really heart-centered choice. Sometimes it can be about emotional renewal. But also one of the bigger meanings is that it's about having really deep feelings and in a new kind of exciting way. Again, it's the ace. It's the seed of something, right? When you look at the Ace of Pentacles, it's the seed that you plant. When you look at the Ace of Wands, it's that exciting, instinctive action. And when you look at the Ace of Swords, it's that epiphany, that burst of intellect and idea. And with the Ace of Cups, it has that same power, but it has it at a very heart center. So a lot of times when you see this in the read, one of the first also meanings, other than it being like a really strong, positive gut intuition, is a lot of times it means it's the start of a new love. Right? It's something that you're very emotionally connected to, and something that gets you real excited too. The other thing is with the hand glowing and it coming out, you know, of a cloud, it really does, you know, there's a sense of peace. And when you look at the dove, you know, doves are bond for life. You know, there's male and female doves. They are monogamous, and they're known, you know, as being peace, as being a sign of fidelity, also a sign of you know, purity. So a lot of times when you see this, especially with the hand coming out from a cloud, it usually means, if it does mean, like, a lot of times it's like a new attraction, or just something, some kind of project that feels right, like something that feels really exciting and feels like your heart is in it. But it also feels like it's a gift from God, right? It feels like it's this new wellspring of love or affection that's been given to you by the universe. A lot of times, you know, it can be falling in love or establishing a bond with another person. Developing a relationship or getting to know someone. A lot of times you see the Ace of Cups when it's a budding love, when you've met someone that you feel really connected to. A lot of times when you see it in a read, especially in a love context, it's someone that you feel that instant attraction to. It's someone that you feel like this would be someone that you want to immediately introduce to your family, or, you know, someone that you get real excited about because you feel a connection to this person on a way deeper level, right? It can be a lot of emotional and spiritual nurturance. So a lot of times, if you do feel this either within yourself or with another person, it can just feel like, you know, you're being nourished. It feels like, you know, it's interesting. I've seen it in movies, but I've also read it somewhere, and I apologize, I can't remember the name of the initial reference. But it talked about how when you fall in love with someone, that it's not, you don't have to work to make something. If something is meant to be, you don't have to work at it. Well, well, not to give false hope here, but you know, all relationships you have to work at. But it's one of those things that when you're with the right person, you don't have to do 90% and the other person does 10%, right? It's really what have heard it explained. I've never experienced it firsthand, unfortunately. That people, that when you meet the right person, that it's easy. It's not simple, but it's easy, and there is a difference. But again, it's like meeting the other dove. You're one dove, and you've met your partner, right? And again, things just flow so easily. Maybe you have the same core values. You know, they talk about on dating sites how they match you based on, you know, your religious beliefs. You know, the way that you like things. Either that, or you have the right amount of opposition that you complement each other. And so a lot of times you feel that when you see the Ace of Cups. It's one of those things where you just feel it feels easy when you're with this person, right? So a lot of times it is those first stirrings of love. You know, maybe you met somebody and you just feel really compatible, you really click. This would be the person that you can't wait to get the next text. It's also the person who, you know, the other thing is that it's mutual in the sense this person's not afraid to call you. They're not afraid to text you. They're not afraid to say, hey, did you get home okay? Can I see you again tomorrow night? It's kind of like, it's that rush of excitement. It's the zoom, right, of falling in love. It is also an expression of real tender feelings. Again, it's like the cup is overflowing and it's very mutual. So a lot of times it is expressing affection. Now I'll go ahead and move on. The second deck, I went with the Slow Tarot by Lacey Bryant. I really do love this cup because it's got flowers and it's got like pearls floating in it. And what I love is that there's a dragonfly here on the corner of the saucer. And you do see the same water overflowing, right? And then I kind of look at the pearls like pearls of wisdom. But pearls are also a water element, right? They're created from oysters or clams, and from oysters. But I like the dragonfly in this picture because dragonfly really is about transcendence. It's kind of my spiritual animal, and it's become a significator for my father. But what it is that you're born in water and you take to air. and and it does mean a lot about transformation. So, you know, when, just like any other ace, you can, when you start off on an emotional journey, it can lead to being the 10 of Cups. It can lead to being the Queen of Cups or the King of Cups, right? If you, it's a very powerful and wonderful new start, and it can be very transformative. And what I love about this is that it can, you know, it doesn't necessarily just have to be romantic love. A lot of times it is. But also with the Rider-Waite-Smith, you see with the water lilies. Water lilies are also, they take root in the mud, and then they grow through the water, and then they bloom into the air, right? Same thing with dragonflies. They're born in water and take to air. The other thing is that it's very much, both of these are like lotus flowers, you know, where it really is about, you know, having a solid root in something and then growing and you know, coming to the culmination of something. So the Ace of Cups is really special in that regard. It really is an indicator of a lot of really good things. But what I love about this cup, especially the middle one, is that it can be compassion for other people. So again, you know, if you see this in a family context, it can be having a lot of love for your family. It can be, if you see this next to the Empress, it can be someone who has a lot of love for other people, who's someone who's very motherly. It can be love for your own children or grandchildren, you know, depending on how you see it in the spread. It can be the birth of a new child, and you know, the family just really pouring love. It can also, with the dove and the wafer, that really does speak of communion. Sometimes it can be a communion, it can be a baptism. So a lot of times it can be, you know, an indicator of a more spiritual, because also the cups are very visceral. And we'll get to that in a minute. But so a lot of times it can be, you know, the act of partnership, or, you know, just showering a lot of love in either a family context, or if you do see this in more, like if you see this next to the Queen of Swords or the King of Swords, or maybe more swords, it could be you doing good work for other people. Like it could be you being, you know, doing work for the community, or being a good Samaritan. A lot of times it does, you know, sometimes because the chalice, you know, if you've ever seen, you know, if you've ever read books that talk about the woman being a vessel or being a cup, sometimes it can be a sign that someone's pregnant. It can be the birth of a child or an engagement, you know, it can be a really, you know, sign of a happy, you know, everybody being happy for, you know, this new stage in someone's life. The other thing is that it can be, you know, it can be an area within yourself of really deep feelings. So a lot of times it can be an outpouring of kindness. Or the other thing that I kind of get from this is, as we go into the third meaning, sometimes if you see this next to maybe the Nine of Pentacles, or more of a single kind of independent energy, the Ace of Cups can most definitely be a lot of self-love or a lot of self-nurturance. You've ever heard of the expression filling your own cup, you know? Sometimes when this comes up in a read and you look at the surrounding cards, sometimes it can mean that you're a really busy mom, or that you give and give and give to other people. That sometimes it means that you have to fill your own cup, right? A lot of times it can mean, you know, trusting your inner voice, or trusting the messages that come from within. So again, this can definitely mean meditation. It can be, you know, connecting to your higher power, whatever that is, you know, your spirit guides, God, intuition. This can be a sign that you're really meditating, you know, because again, the water lilies are lotus flowers. The other thing is that it can be a sign of either needing a conduit to a higher power, like maybe you need to meditate to kind of hear your inner vision, or what your feelings are telling you. But the other thing is that it can be a sign that you're just at a point in your life that no matter what's going on around you, your cup is full. Right? Your cup is full. The other thing is, they always say, when your cup overfloweth, you know, you have enough to give to others. So a lot of times this can be a sign that you have so much love that you are able to bestow it on others. And again, you know, also in that same vein, it could be indicating, as when it comes to advice, it could be asking you to fill your own cup. It can be the start of a real creative enterprise, like maybe you do art or poetry, because water. It can be, you know, you could be a musician. Maybe you write or listen to music. Maybe music is really inspiring you. A lot of times it can be health. Maybe you have a lot of, it's not so much of a physical card, but maybe it can be a real sign of good emotional health. It can definitely be a sign of marriage. You know, again, depending on your traditions, you know, sometimes at marriage ceremonies, you are given the chalice of God, depending on, you know, your spiritual background. But most of the time, it can mean responding sympathetically. Like if you're asking a question, like, okay, how's this? What kind of response, if I say this to someone, what response will I get in return? The other thing is that it can also be that maybe you're planning to propose and you're not sure what the person's going to say. So, like if you see the Ace of Cups next to the Sun, that's a big old whopping yes, right? Or if you see it next to the Six of Wands, you know, that's victory. Now, the last card, I decided to go with the Spacious Tarot, and this was a tough choice, but I really did love this card. But what you see is you see the same wellspring. You know, it's a clear cup, but you see that spring in the middle that's overflowing. Again, all the cups overflow. What I love about this imagery is that in the background you see mountains, but it's almost like through the cup you see you see the mountains more clearly, and yet the cup is still, you don't see where the spring is coming from. It's just like coming, you know, silently from the middle of the cup. It's invisible, right? And it's almost like the mountains in the background are brought into focus, right? So mountains in Lenormand and, you know, in the tarot mean challenge, right? And here you see that you are rising above challenges here. And again, you see that in the background, the mountains are real foggy, fuzzy, out of focus. But when you look through the cup, of love, right? When you look through the vision, the cup of compassion, right? Which is, and love springs eternal is what I think. Everything becomes clear, right? And what I thought was lovely is that I always filmed the How to Tarot a few days earlier, so I have time to upload, you know, edit and upload. And this was actually, I have a 1-a-day calendar, and this is what came up on my 1-a-day calendar. It says, give love. And so a lot of times, again, in an advice or, I might sneeze, excuse me, guys. Excuse me. Sometimes when it talks about, like, maybe you're faced with a challenge, or maybe you're faced with something that seems really insurmountable, and what this card would be telling you, especially with this imagery, is that, you know, give love, right? Give love. That is one other meaning that really, the symbolism in these two cards, because the other thing is that with the Dove of Peace bringing the wafer, usually doves, like when you think of the story in the Bible that talks about the fig leaf, right? It's about, you know, bringing peace. The other thing is it's kind of about weathering the storm, but it is also about forgiveness, right? One famous meaning is that, you know, if you've ever experienced challenge with someone, or, you know, it talks about how forgiveness releases two prisoners, right? And that's really hard to do. It's hard to do sometimes, because sometimes people can really put you through a lot of crap. So, you know, I know it's a little bit trite to just say, oh, well, just see them in the eyes of love when you want to strangle them, right? But what it is kind of saying, especially when this comes as a result, it's just saying that you are a good person. You have enough love in your heart that you can see this situation through the eyes of love, right? You're not going to let anything taint your cup with negativity. So a lot of times it is about, you know, releasing negativity, and it's about, you know, it's also about releasing something where it's not affecting you. So maybe in a more everyday context, maybe someone said something to you, maybe someone was rude to you, maybe you had a bad phone call, maybe someone got short with you. And it's, I have this saying, kind of, I have it up on a magnet on my wall, but it says, you know, take no action personally, right? The other thing is, so, you know, the Ace of Cups, when it comes up in a read, is kind of like, see this through the lens of love. Maybe this person, you know, again, you know, forgiveness releases two prisoners, where don't take no action personally. The damage might be completely with the other person. And it's also kind of indicating that you can see, you know, if you put yourself in their shoes, that you might understand why they're crabby. But your love in this situation, or your compassion in this situation, will make all the difference. The other thing that I kind of get is that, again, also in filling your own cup, if you see this after a period of time where you've had it really hard, like if this card shows, especially after the 10 of Swords, the 3 of Swords, you're really, or the 6 of Swords, it talks about that you are going to be okay, right? You have the love in your heart to survive whatever's happened to you. So it definitely, you know, the other thing that it is that it can talk about, you know, if in the friendship context, it can talk about that, you know, this might be the spark of a new friendship, or, you know, a close emotional tie. When you see this in a dating context, it definitely means that this could be the beginning of something that could lead to marriage. And then it could also be, you know, that you're about to be blessed with a lot of love and happiness, or the opportunity of that. The other thing is that if you are more independent, it means that you're going to find the love within yourself. Like your compassion is self-sustaining. You don't need to be given love from an external source. It is also saying, again, it is indicating connect to your higher power, because that is a conduit. That's a way to get love from the universe. But it also means that you have enough love within yourself that you don't, especially in a context where you felt like left out in the cold. Maybe you see this next to the 5 of Pentacles, or some kind of love situation where you really feel abandoned. Ace of Cups is a great comfort to see in a read, because it means you've got love in yourself, within yourself. The other thing is that sometimes if you see this next to maybe like a King of Wands or Queen of Wands, a lot of times it can mean that you have the self-esteem and it usually means give yourself the love that other people are denying you, right? The other thing that it kind of means is show yourself self-compassion. A lot of times we deny ourselves the very compassion. Sometimes when we get very self-critical in our own head, the Ace of Cups could really be calling that out and saying, okay, you need to turn off the inner critic, you know, give yourself the love that the world is not giving you right now. So sometimes if you see this cup around a really harsh card like the Tower or the 10 of Swords, you know, it just means that, you know, be good to yourself, be kind to yourself. Now, when it comes to people, the Ace of Cups in the upright usually means lovers or a new love connection, usually means artists. Oh, one other thing is it definitely means mediums or psychics. And just to throw it out there, because honestly, you could see the Ace of Cups in a read if you have started to see symbols, and you don't necessarily have to be a card reader, but if you know, again, if you're practicing with dice, or if you're just seeing symbols out in the world, if you're starting to get a lot of intuition, those little intuitive hits, I kind of call it, it can manifest as the Ace of Cups, because it means that you're really listening to your intuition. And the other thing is, if you see this next to the moon or something like that, it's really telling you, don't be afraid to open that conduit. You know, listen to yourself, or listen to what's coming through to you. Also, you know, pay attention to your dreams, you know, because there's information. But then again, the Ace of Cups, when it manifests as a person, can also just be a real compassionate person. I really think of a real Mother Teresa kind of person, or someone who really gives of themselves. And it's like they have an unlimited cup. Now, when you see the Ace of Cups in reverse, it's still an ace. Anytime you see any card in the reverse, it either means that the energy is blocked or stymied, or it means that it is intensified in a negative way. So usually the Ace of Cups in reverse, the first thing that we think is, you know, we usually think like a lack of love, or the blocking of new love. It can mean that someone that you feel like, again, if you see the Ace of Cups in reverse, you might feel like you're out in the cold. If you see this next to the Five of Pentacles, you might feel like you're being denied love. I'll be the first to say it when I see the Ace of Cups in reverse, and especially when I'm throwing cards, if I'm in a pissy mood, pardon my French, but a lot of times I feel like, I usually see that as feeling like you feel like you're the person who's being beat up by the universe, like you're being denied love. Like it is a little bit of a pity card, but not in a bad way. It just, you just feel like if you see the Ace of Cups in reverse next to the Nine of Wands or the Ten of Wands, it's like, good God, how much more work do I have to do? Again, all the water is kind of falling out of the cup, right? And it's starting to feel empty. So a lot of times that's usually when you feel like you've just given and given and given and given and you've just never gotten anything in return. It's like a lot of times you can see that in, in situations where there's unrequited love, a loss of love or a broken heart, if you see the Ace of Cups in reverse next to maybe the Three of Swords, it could have been a false start in love. Like maybe you really felt sparks with someone and then you thought you were, you would talk to them for a few days and then a weekend they'd stop talking to you, or, after the first date, it just fizzled, or you found out that they were talking to someone else and it just really, and I do see the Ace of Cups in reverse when when you've been on when you're dating and you've been on your seventh bad date and you're just ready to give up the ghost and be like, okay, I will just be single for the rest of my life because this is just a pain in my ass and not worth it. And it's almost like you keep getting your hopes up and then your hopes dashed and then your hopes up and then your hopes dashed. It's like you can't win for losing, right? The other thing is that you can feel like love is extinct. Like, again, maybe, again, if you see this next to the Ten of Swords, you could feel like it was kind of eradicated, like something really painful happened that just kind of really, really hurt. It can be problems in a relationship. It can really, if you see this next to a Swords card, the Cups in reverse can really mean that someone's not talking. The other thing that I kind of get from it is that they're purposely not trying to you could try to fix your problems in your relationship, but one person is just not making the effort. It's like, again, the Cups are the beginning. It could be the beginning. The beginning of a healing cycle, but the person is just not even bothering. That's like they're not even trying to get the Ace of Cups started. So again, it's like blocked or denied. Also, if you see the Cups in reverse next to the Six of Swords in reverse, it's really not getting off the ground. The other thing that I kind of get with this is that, sorry, my train of thought derailed. Let me just see here, that it's real conditional love. Someone could be withholding their love intentionally. Like if you see this next to a more manipulation card, like the Devil, or Lord forbid, the Emperor in reverse, it can be someone being real controlling. The other thing is that I kind of see it as a little bit of a baiting when it's in reverse. Like maybe someone's like, well, I'll call you or I'll treat you with respect, but you got to do this, but they do it in a real kind of manipulative way. The other thing is that it can be an avoidance of emotional attachment. Like maybe if you have had some emotional pain in the past, it could be you afraid, again, this could be a blocked energy where, maybe you're afraid of being abandoned again, or maybe you're afraid of getting too close to someone. I do also see it as the too good to be true. Like someone might be approaching you and treating you real well, but you're hesitant. You're suspicious of it. It can be a real extreme loneliness if you see this next to the Hermit or the Hermit in reverse. Where, again, it can, if you see this next to the Four of Cups and maybe the Hermit in reverse, it could be that people are trying to reach out to you, but you're just really in that you don't, again, it's a little bit of that gray color glasses where you're just not, you're really not feeling it. It can be a lot of grief or loss or depression. Again, it feels like an empty cup. Again, also it can feel like the bird is just not flying, like the bird is not, not able to visit, not able to reach you. A lot of times it can be self-centeredness, or it could be someone who's pretending to be generous, but really they have other motives. Like if you see this next to the King of Swords in reverse, or maybe, what was it we saw in the weekly energy card reading? It was the King of Swords in reverse, crowned by the King of Pentacles. This could be someone who's acting as if they're so generous, but really they're, you know, on the inside, they're just kind of manipulating it, or doing something for their own that serves them and doesn't really serve others. It can be a lot of emotional distress. And again, you know, just maybe, again, it kind of goes hand in hand with depression, where you feel like your problems are above you instead of below you. And it's almost like I always feel this is like kind of an emotional stacking card, where you just feel like you start making a list of all that's wrong in your life. The other thing that it can be is that, again, you know, it can be a time in your life where you're just not feeling very much gratitude. And that can definitely happen when you're feeling that way, when you feel like God, you know, I also see this as kind of like when you look on Facebook and everybody's doing better than you. And I don't mean that in a bad way, because social media is that, I always call it the up spiral or the down spiral. The up spiral is wonderful when you're genuinely happy for everyone, and you see your friends' kids' first steps, you see how they've decorated their house for Christmas, and you're happy for everyone. But there's definitely times in your life where if you've been on that sixth bad date, and then you start watching Facebook and it's the highlight reel and you think everyone's doing well, all of a sudden you start thinking, well, God, you know, I'm never going to find happiness. I'm never going to get married. I'm sick of these first dates. Everything sucks, you know. It is a little bit of that, depression, you know, backslash, you know, why is my life so difficult? You know, why can't I, you know, it is a little bit of woe is me card. It can be a lot of sex with no love. So it can be, you know, again, you know, of someone who's either using you just in that way, or, you know, some kind of, you know, situationship. It is a situationship would really define the Ace of Cups in reverse, because it's like you're not really, nothing's getting off the ground, right? And again, you know, it doesn't feel like a blessing. It feels like you're kind of, you know, stuck with someone. It can also be a delay of a start of a relationship. It could, you know, so can be in a good sense. Maybe, you know, with world events in the last year, maybe you know, plan to get married and you can't, it got delayed, or, you know, a lot of people are, you know, maybe there's another reason why you can't be with somebody. Excuse me. And so it's one of those things where it's just like, it's more of a, you know, some kind of, if you see this next to any of the threes, you know, it can be a third party situation, not necessarily a, you know, it can definitely be that too. It could possibly, if you feel like someone's kind of stringing you along, that's the other thing. If someone's kind of playing with your emotions, you know, or, you know, they're, if you feel like you're being, you know, breadcrumbed and it's giving you what you want, you're always denied. And I will just say, if you do see this next to the Knight of Wands or the Knight of Cups, or either of those cards in the reverse, I would be very careful, because there is such a thing as what we call love bombing. And people, and I'm not saying anybody does it intentionally, but there are definitely, you know, the more player types, they know how to hit you with, they'll show you undivided attention, they'll call you, they'll ask every question about you, they'll act like, you know, they'll treat you like you are an empress, like you're an emperor. And then the moment they kind of have you hooked, what they do is they pull away, and it's proven when you fall in love, it's endorphins to your brain. It's the same chemicals that heavy drugs releases in your brain. It's the really big endorphins. And then when they pull that love away, it's almost like a marionette string. Okay, you know, well, I'll start, you know, I'll give you that love again, you know, but they kind of have you on a string. It's like, so this can be someone who's doing the yo-yo with you. And what you're doing is you keep chasing them, and this can be a chaser runner dynamic where you just want that, you want that hit again. You want it to feel the way it did. Why aren't you asking everything about me? Why aren't you calling and making plans? And please be careful, because if anybody's treating you that way, let me assure you that that is their damage, not yours. And the moment that you play into it, and goodness knows they might have learned it somewhere. And again, not to harsh on anyone, but wherever, you know, they learned how to do that, you know, because what it does, it's a psychological game. And again, it has you chasing that cup. It has you chasing that cup where you want to fill that full cup again. And remember how we talked about, you know, not getting having a full cup on your own, because they talk about that in relationships. You know, a relationship is not 1/2 cup and 1/2 cup and together you make a whole cup. Each person comes with their own full cup. You have your own self-esteem. You have your own self-respect. And the other thing is, if somebody's doing that to you, it's a little bit of a red flag, because if someone's coming on to you so strong, they want to know everything about you. Oh yes, you are my soulmate. And then they can just ghost like that. That is something really psychologically wrong with them. And it does. It's very hard. It's hard to break free of that. It's very hard because you want to feel, it's like, oh, the other thing is that it plays with your self-esteem. You have to have a real strong self-esteem to deal with someone who's doing that to you, because what happens is it makes you feel like, well, what did I do wrong? 5 minutes ago, I was the best person in the world. They wanted to be with me. They wanted to call me. They wanted to spend every waking minute with me, but it's manipulative. Right? So definitely, if the Ace of Cups is in reverse, and God forbid if you see this next to the Knight of Cups or the Knight of Wands in reverse, that is someone who is, or the King of Swords in the upright or in the reverse. That is some psychologically screwed up energy. And the other thing is that, you know, it is completely okay for you to completely cut this person off and just refill your own cup. That is really, really advised. So, you know, just, you know, so a lot of times it's, you know, it's that feeling, a lack of emotional fulfillment, and feeling like you can't get it from yourself, and that you want it from that source that gave it to you initially. And then last but not least, it means feeling jerked around emotionally. You know, it's just someone who is pulling that string. You know, again, they're throwing out the bait, and then they're pulling on the string, and they're getting you to follow it, right? And I can assure you, you know, people who pull crap like that, they have their own special karma. And I don't like to believe in karma like in a vindictive way. I'm not that type of person, and that's not how karma works. But I assure you, I believe that in this life, in this existence, we are put on this earth with special gifts. And when we use those gifts to a positive end, when we use those gifts to nurture others, if you use that gifts for a negative gain, you know, to get what you want, and then for you to ghost out, you are making more karma for yourself, because that comes back on you, and you do have to be responsible. There's no running from the responsibility of the karma that you create with people. And if I'm not saying that if you make a mistake that you're damned. No. You know, if it's an honest mistake, or if you're working out damage in your head, the universe sends you teachers, right? And we teach each other. One really wise thing my mom always said to me is that people are like, you know, when you have rough relationships, whether it be in family or lovers or anything in your life, they're like two jagged rocks that knock up against each other. They knock your facets and another person's facets, knock each other's rough edges. You polish one another. And but that doesn't mean that you have to rip each other up and be bloody about it, right? I think the universe does send you people. And I think if you do have those interactions, I think you walk away learning more about your life goals, and they walk away hopefully a little bit smarter. But I will say that if you're dealing with someone, you know, Ace, that's making you feel Ace of Cups in reverse, or you're feeling Ace of Cups in reverse after some kind of relationship, you know, it is highly advised that you take time to fill your own cup. Or at least the other thing is, you know, get back in tune, because Ace of Cups in reverse can also be that you're out of contact. Like maybe you've broken the tie to your higher power, and maybe you need to get that connection back. So, you know, it can be just, you know, the last thing is that a lot of times it just means that that relationship that you've been longing for is not going to come to fruition. It's kind of dead in the water, right? Now, one other thing, and just to put it out there, and this is a little bit more of a sensitive one, is that sometimes if you do see this next to the Empress in the reverse, it can be the indication of some kind of loss from either stillbirth or can be abortion. It can also be miscarriage. But it's, you know, it's also possible, like the break off of an engagement, or more likely it would be something that started off really kind of quick and you felt like this was your soulmate, and then it turned into like a real stinging disappointment. But when it manifests as people, the Ace of Cups in reverse usually is someone who has been rejected, maybe someone who's been jilted, someone who's gone through a loss, or, you know, someone who's grieving, or someone who's just unhappy. The other thing is that, you know, it can be someone who's widowed. And the one other thing that I kind of see is that, you know, especially after I just did the weekly energy card reading, and I saw a lot of kind of wistful energy around the holiday. If you have lost somebody, you know, maybe someone's lost a spouse, or someone's lost a father or something, where, you know, this time of year, especially if this time of year was a very, you know, how everybody has a favorite season, a favorite holiday, it could be someone who's genuinely just missing someone. And there, I just ask you, in an essence of both upright and reverse, be compassionate to that person. If someone's just lost a spouse and you just got engaged, you know, try not to be so PDA or up in someone's face. You know, be considerate. They're very happy for you. The other thing is the Ace of Cups isn't that they're not happy for you. It's just they might be mourning in their own personal way. And, you know, try to be considerate. You know, your happiness is celebrated, but, you know, you don't have to be up in anybody's face about it. So, but whether in the upright or the reverse, the Ace of Cups is one of the most look forward to cups, you know, signs and cards in the deck. And it is absolutely a joy to get, because it's always exciting to see. All right, guys, so that wraps up the How to Tarot part. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you the 3 decks. The first deck is always the Rider-Waite-Smith, and with it we have a beautiful sunstone. The second deck is the Slow Tarot by Lacey Bryant, and what I love is that it's borderless. All the aces are borderless. Excuse me, hiccup. And with it we have a beautiful bloodstone. And the last deck we have the Spacious Tarot, and with it we have a beautiful green fluorite. And because the cups are so emotional and so kind of visceral and spiritual, I decided to go with the guidance from your angel guides. And, oh, this is beautiful. What do you desire? Oh, nice. Okay. But this is, I will be including this deck in the deck review when I do the spiritual, like the meditation and angel decks. And on top of it, we have a beautiful citrine. But I will, so I'll be clarifying your read with those cards, and that'll be for each one of the decks. All right, so enough blabbing. I will let you choose your deck. If you need more time, please pause the video, and I'll see you in a minute. All right, so deck number 1. How does the Ace of Cups manifest in your life? Let's find out. Oops. Oh, so I fixed my chair. All right, so deck number 1. How does the Ace of Cups manifest in your life? Okay, current energy. Future energy. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm going to keep this. It was really angling. Okay. I'm getting the Emperor and the 4 of Cups. All right, so let's go ahead and see what's your oracle. right, guys. Wow. So we have two queens. So what I'm seeing here is that I think in the past, I can kind of read this one of a few ways, and we have a lot of people who watch, so I'm going to make sure that we, just include it however it resonates. We always say, take what resonates, leave the rest. In the past, I feel like I feel what I'm kind of getting here is that, especially with your oracle card, I think in the past that you've always relied on practicality. Like, you know what I'm getting? I'm getting a strong sense that maybe you've always that you have a real emotionally creative streak to you. But maybe you've stayed in a job that was very practical, maybe a little mundane, but it paid well, right? Like the Queen of Pentacles, she's very practical. She's a nurturing queen. All queens are, but it's almost like you more tended to, you stayed in the profession or stayed in a career that gave you the money, gave you the solid income. And what I'm kind of getting is that it was very reliable, right? It kept paid the bills, and it let you buy pretty things, and it put a roof over your head, but it didn't really fulfill you emotionally, right? It's one of those things where you just, the other thing that I kind of get is that maybe it started off, you thought, oh, okay, I'll just do this for a few years, and then it won't become my career, and pan to 20 years later, and you're still doing it. So what I'm kind of seeing is that your current energy is that you're going to get a spark of intuition. And I also get that this is almost going to feel like a gut level kind of, boom, why don't you do this? This would really make you happy, right? Because what you've got is you've got the Eight of Cups, and underneath it, or it kind of fell out like this, so it was kind of like a block, is that it's almost like you're hesitant to walk away from all that you've invested in. And it's one of those things where it's like, no, I've done this forever, it gives me a solid paycheck. I think the other thing that you're kind of doing is the other thing that I'm kind of getting here is that it's almost like you're kind of stifling your creative expression. You have a lot of nurturance in you. That's the thing. You've got the Queen of Cups and you got the Ace of Cups. But it's almost like it's the other thing that I kind of get is that maybe you've been kind of doing two jobs. Maybe you've been indulging on this idea at night, or kind of doing it as a side job. It really does give you a lot of emotional fulfillment, but it's a lot. It's a lot to handle. It's almost too much. It's almost like you're doing two full-time jobs, doing the day job. It's almost like you have to, I think you're really contemplating moving away from the more mundane or, predictable job to do something a little bit, more creative. Now, the other thing, and then in the future, I see that you're going to be, it's going to take slow and steady work. It's going to be kind of like a transition, but you're going to, I get the sense that, this is also really positive because I get a sense it'll be a slow and steady transition. Like it's not going to be jarring for you to move. Because, if you are changing career tracks, if you're doing something completely different, sometimes that can be a little scary. Sometimes that can be a little jarring. It can make you feel like you're hopping from one thing to the other. But I'm not seeing that here. I'm actually seeing that it'll be smooth sailing, but it is just gonna, what I kind of see. The other thing I get is that the ferryman is a little bit of a celestial, a little higher power, like the universe is going to make sure that you're okay. The other thing is that if you do have children, or if you have other people reliant, like you have dependents, I think you're also concerned that, of course, you want to make sure that they're taken care of. If you don't have all the freedom in the world to, take a pay cut, I see that that's going to be okay. Now, one other way that I can kind of read this is that it is possible you could be either a man or a woman in this energy. If you're a man in this energy, it's possible that in the past you were either dealing with the Queen of Pentacles, or someone that you had like a financial investment with. The other thing is that if you otherwise, if you are a man, what you were thinking of is that in the past you were really, really concerned about your emotionally, like you what was most important to you is the physical, right? Like you cared about what was tangible, right? You did not, I think in the past you put more consideration into making sure the money was there. But you are getting called. It's almost like you're getting called to do something that's more emotionally fulfilling. But it's just what it is that you're really drawn to do this new emotional project. It's just, it would be, you know, because I'm seeing all cups here, but I'm seeing the Ten of Wands. It's almost like, one other thing that I'm kind of getting here, guys, and just to throw it out there, it's quite possible that if this is a new love, you know, you could be man or woman watching this. If this is a new love, what's happening is that you feel real connected to a Queen of Cups. Because again, you know, this is, and you could be in this energy, like you could be dealing with a man who, you're either dealing with a man who had a previous commitment to a Queen of Pentacles, or if you're a man watching this, you had some kind of commitment to someone, could be a spouse or somebody that you have a financial investment with. Now again, with these being queens and there is a child here, it's quite possible that you might have some kind of child support or some kind of financial obligation to a family member who's a Queen of Pentacles. She can be a sun sign, earth sign, or just somebody that you have financial entanglement with. I don't think that she's a bad person, but she's, you know, she's very practical with her money. And, you know, the other thing is that she would be, you know, if she does have family members, like little ones to take care of, she's very budgeted with that. And she wants to, the other thing is she wants to make sure that they're financially taken care of. But what I see here is that it's quite possible that in the past there was a Queen of Pentacles, and in order to be with the Queen of Cups, like again, this is a cup, these are cups, that's a cup. It's almost like in order to share that cup of love with this real emotional woman, and this could be you, so that there could be a man here that you want to be with, but it would involve him walking away from something that he's already invested in. Or if you're a man watching this, it's you know, you had some kind of spouse or family member who is a Queen of Pentacles character that you have financial ties to. And it's almost like to have this new love, you really want this new love, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. You feel like this is your person, but in order, one other thing that I'm kind of getting here is that quite possibly you feel this pull to the Queen of Cups, but it's just too much work because you already have an endeavor here with the Queen of Pentacles. So you have to walk away from one of the queens, right? You have to walk away. You either have to walk away from the previous engagement and go with the Queen of Cups, who seems to be the new cup here, or you have to walk away from the Queen of Cups and stay with the Queen of Pentacles. Now what's interesting is you don't know which queen is in the boat. Now it's a little bit of an indicator, you know, this could be you, this could be you, but I am almost getting like it's almost like you have to walk away from one commitment or the other. But you really, this Ace of Cups really feels like a new beginning. So it's one of two things. You're either walking away from what feels like a new beginning because it's just too much work, so you're just going to stay with the tried and true, and you're going to get in the boat with, it's almost like you're going to stick with what you've started, and you're going to walk away from this new, or you're going to walk away from what's come before. You'll tell them, and it'll lighten your load. It'll lighten your load, but it is going to take a little bit of time, and then you and the Queen of Cups will get in the boat and go to calmer waters. But your Oracle card, you got Creative Project. Your soul longs to express itself in creative ways. We're guiding you to infuse artistry and creativity into your life. Creative expression makes you feel alive and excited and reignites passion for life. So, gosh, guys, this really is kind of playing into that first meaning. Again, with this being a cup from the universe and the ferryman being more of a not spiritual, but fictional kind of person. I get the sense that it's probably the first scenario. Just in the past, you've always been very practical, and it's almost like you want to walk away from that practical because you want to be more of a Queen of Cups. You want to be more creative. You want to do something. The other thing I kind of get is that you really want to do something that makes you, that fulfills you, right? And I'm not saying, you know, quit your day job and become an artist or anything like that. I know that's a hard profession to make money at. But at least do some kind of job that makes you feel like you're expressing yourself, and that doesn't, you know, that could be anything. But I get the sense like the universe is going to make that, the other thing is the universe is going to hand you this cup, like it's going to give you the opportunity, you're going to know it in your heart of hearts that's the right opportunity, and in order to lighten your load, because you can't do both things, you are going to get in the boat and move towards calmer waters, right? Maybe you'll transition into this new project, and it'll really make you happier. So wow, guys, that's really cool. That's a really great read. And I'm so glad to use these angel cards because I think they really do help explain a lot. All right, so deck number 2, the Slow Tarot by Lacey Bryant. Let's go ahead and see, how does the Ace of Cups manifest in your life? I'm just going to give this a quick shuffle. Okay, so how does the Ace of Cups manifest in your life? Oh, wow. I don't know how this flipped over, but okay. Current energy. Okay, future energy. Okay, the Empress is trying to pop out. Let's go ahead. Please clarify the Seven of Swords. What are we trying to sneak away from? Oh, wow. Okay, and I'm seeing Temperance here too. All right, so let's go ahead and get your Angel card. Oh, wow. I'm seeing a lot of the same colors, guys. There's a lot of oranges. A lot of oranges. A lot of fire. Wow. This is really powerful. And you have one major arcana. So what I'm seeing is in the past you got the Hermit. And really what I'm getting here is what's beautiful is that you see the roots and the trees, and you see a flame there, and it's in the shape of a star, right? And what's interesting is that in the Hermit's lamp you got flames, the Eight of Wands, all the wands are on fire, and then in your Oracle card you've got flame there too. And you've got kind of a sunset in the background. But what I'm definitely getting is I really get a sense that you have a lot of experience. I also sense that, you've probably done something for a long time. Again, with the tree having roots, I also look at the leaves of the trees. It's almost like there's kind of a fall-like image. There's a lot of reds, burgundies, and browns. So what I kind of get from that is I really get the feeling like you're in the autumn of something. There's so many autumn colors here, even the real wine-colored cup. There's a lot of autumn colors here. So what I'm kind of feeling is, I'm feeling like you're in the fall of something. Like, not in a bad way, but you're coming to the end of a cycle, so to speak. And I think that what you're doing is you're really reflecting on your past. You're looking at all of the accomplishments that you've done. And you're thinking about where you've been, and you're thinking about where you're going, but you definitely feel like I get the sense like you feel like I'm getting the sense like you feel like you've have I always call it riding out fifth, which I know is kind of it's a manual transmission reference. If you've ever driven a manual car, so many cars are automatic now. But what it is that when you drive a stick shift, with each gear, you know, first, second, third, fourth, usually fifth is the final gear. It's the last gear. And when you are riding it out, you hear the engine. It goes, you know, it's like you're at the end of. I'm getting a sense that this is either a job. I'm not really getting a whole lot of relationship from this, but I'm getting the sense it's either a job or a career that you've done for a really long time, and it's almost like you're writing out fifth. You've done first gear, you've done second gear. You don't know where else you can go from here, and I get the sense that you're in right now. You're kind of before winter comes, right? Before you get all the way to. It's almost like you're planning where you want to go next, and I feel like you have. I get the sense that this Ace of Cups is going to be. It's going to be something that is going to come along that you're just going to be real excited about. It's going to be something, because what I'm kind of getting is the Hermit is a very reserved kind of card. It's not emotional. He very solemnly, like a hermit, like a priest or a monk, he goes up to the mountaintop to reflect on the events that have already occurred. The other thing that I kind of get from this is that it's quite possible that maybe you're in a profession that's a little bit more project-esque, meaning that, you know, you're hired to do the project, and then once the project's completed, I'm getting a sense of a more kind of commission-based kind of thing, if that makes any sense. It's almost like, you know, there are some jobs that are not like you can do this for 30 years, right? Some jobs are not career-based. They're more like, okay, well, I've given you this project. Once the project's complete, you're free to do another project, or you're free to go do something else. And that's what I'm kind of getting here, is that with the autumn and the fall, you're not waiting for winter to come. You're deciding what you want to do next. You're also reflecting on what you've done in the past. And oh my God, guys, I'm just noticing this. You have mountains in the background of every single one of these cards. You've got mountains in the back of the Hermit. You've got mountains in the back of the Ace of Wands. You've got, it's actually a globe, but it looks like a mountain in the background of the two. And, well, there's mountains here. And then that's the Two of Wands. And then in your Oracle card, there's definitely mountains there. So what I'm seeing here is that, first off, I'm kind of seeing, and I just got to put it out there, you kind of have your idea, like I'm getting a sense like the next thing that comes along that feels exciting to you, you're just going to go for it. The other thing that I kind of get is that you might, I'm not saying that you're going to do anything dishonest. I don't get that energy from the Hermit, but I get the sense almost like that you're gonna take your experience. It's almost like you're gonna use the previous job as a real springboard, because this is a 7 and then an 8. And it's really fast, right? And look, you know what I'm hearing? I'm almost hearing like you got to act fast. You're going to have to act fast. And the other thing that I'm kind of getting is that, you know what I'm feeling is that I think that you've thought about it long and hard, and you know that you're going to be changing jobs, but you might not be telling your employer that you're going to change jobs. It's almost like up in the middle, like in the middle of the night, you're just going to up and leave, and you're going to take your talents with you. The other thing is that you've got all of these swords have different hilts to them. So it's not to make it sound this way, but you might have learned a lot of things from different people while you were in your current position, and you're going to take those skills with you, or you're going to take those ideas with you. Now, the other way that I can kind of read this, and this is not to, this isn't to villainize anyone. It's just, it's almost like you have to act fast, right? So this could be potentially be that maybe if you're in one kind of profession, like for instance, you know, if you're in one kind of profession where it's prohibited that you, like if you work for an investment company, and you know, you were the stock trader for an investment company, and you've worked for that investment company for a long time, you know all their policies, you know how they do things, and then all of a sudden another investment company comes knocking, and you know that maybe from your inside, you know, from working for your current company, you know changes are coming, or you know that they're not going to be doing the same ways, or they've got, you know, and so what you want is you want out. Maybe you have your eye on something that would make you more emotionally happier. But if you leave, and believe me, it's nothing personal. There are some professions that are like that. If you do decide that you want to change employers, it isn't to be unkind, but that's just the nature of the profession, where they can't even give you 2 weeks because they don't want you to stick around and gather more information that you can take to another financial institution. What they'll do is they'll tell you, okay, you want to leave, okay, you have until the end of the day, grab a box, you're going to have to go today, and we're going to collect your badge at the door. So it's almost going to kind of feel that way, but what I'm getting is that it's going to feel kind of exciting, because this new position is going to be really your heart's desire. It is going to make you feel like you're sneaking off in the middle of the night, and you're going to have to act fast. It's almost going to be kind of impulsive, like really, it's going to be quick. The other thing is when it's going from a 6 to a 7, because the other thing with I'm sorry, from a 7 to an 8, the one thing about the 8 is that I get the sense that you're waiting. The 8 of Wands is like waiting for that one last puzzle piece. Like, and I do get the sense that you've been thinking about this, like you've really meditated on your past with your current situation, and you've decided, okay, I want to move forward in this direction. It is going to feel like I'm being sneaky, and it's going to be, again, it's going to be very fast moving. I'm getting a strong sense of that, you know, well, I'm going to have to tell them, and the moment I tell them, they're going to tell me to box up my stuff because I'm not going to have 2 weeks. Right? So I feel like you're almost waiting for, you're planning your green light. You're planning your green light. And when you green light it, it's going to be all systems go. But you are going to feel like you're sneaking away in the middle of the night. The other thing is that I do think that there might be some element of this where you're taking ideas or taking skills that you learned here with you to the new place or the new endeavor. One other way I can kind of read this is like maybe you're a lawyer and you've worked for a law firm and now you're branching out and creating your own business. That's what I'm kind of feeling too. And either that, or, you know, maybe you're a plumber, or maybe you're an electrician and you've worked for a bigger, you know, plumbing house or a bigger, electrician company, and you've given a lot of thought, and you've thought about, the other thing is that you're real wise. You put a lot of thought into this. It's not like you're trying to be sneaky. It's just, it's one of those things. I'm getting a sense like this is the only way that you can do it, because I am getting that strong sense that there's some kind of internal regulation to this, that you can't just, you know, announce it and leave in 2 weeks. That's not possible. So it's one of those things that you're going to have to wait for. You're going to have to wait for all the puzzle pieces to be there, and then it's going to be like, boom, okay, I'm leaving, and it's probably going to feel like a little bit. It's going to feel a little bit sneaky to either the person you're telling, or you're going to feel like you're doing that, you know, whether or not that's true. But I do feel like this is part of your transformation. I think it, again, in your heart of hearts, you feel like you're doing the right thing. The other thing is that this is the card that had all the pearls, and I feel like pearls of wisdom. So maybe, again, all the ideas or the pearls of wisdom that you gained from all of your experience. I do get a strong sense, again, with you having roots here, but I am getting a strong sense of fall, and fall is the last season before winter, and then after winter, it's spring again. Now, moving forward, you got the Two of Wands, and the Two of Wands, Wow, guys, when you look at the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, the Two of Wands is about one wand being bolted to the wall at the top of the tower, and then another wand being in your hand with a globe with the world, right? And you've got two globes here. So I really get the sense, that you've worked your way up to like the highest point again, and you've worked yourself up to a really high point, and now you really want to map out your own future. So you're going to be, the other thing is the two is a choice, right? So you're going to be mapping out your own future. I really do get the sense that you're breaking away and doing your own thing. I get the sense that you worked under a group for a really long time, and you gained a lot of wisdom, and you really debated. It's almost like you're thinking like, okay, I can't do this forever, or the other thing I'm kind of getting is maybe you've hit the cap of how far you can go, and in order for you to go farther or grow farther, you have to go on your own. And this feels like the right thing to do. You know in your heart of hearts it's the right thing to do. But the only thing is that it's going to be sudden. It's going to be kind of like an all systems go, and you are going to be taking with you the knowledge or the policies from where you were before. But I think that you are going to go after the world. The other thing is that there are mountains here. It's quite possible. I really get the sense that something in your job was problem solving. And again, maybe you're an architect and you're going to start your own firm or something like that. You know what scene I'm thinking of? If you've ever watched the movie The Lake House, in that movie, Keanu Reeves and his brother, their father was a real stern architect, but he was a world-renowned architect. And the one brother really wanted to go into business. He didn't want to be under his father anymore. He wanted to start his own firm, and he called it Visionary Vanguard. And he kept going, Visionary Vanguard, we should do this, we should do this. And of course, their father wasn't real happy about it. And again, their father felt a little betrayed by it. The other thing is he felt betrayed when Keanu Reeves went off to do just like regular construction work. But that's what I'm almost getting here. I feel like you're striking out on your own. But I get the sense that you were at the end of that season. You were really at the apex of as much. You couldn't learn any more from where you were. And I think that you put a lot of thought into it. You put a lot of thought into this. You really reflected on how much you learned, and how you put down roots with this other company or with this other whatever endeavor this was. But in order for the other thing we talked about the Seven of Swords, it's like feeling like you can't speak your mind. Like I really get a sense like, just like in that movie, they couldn't tell their father, well, I don't want to do things your way. I want to go off and create my own company. They couldn't say that to him, right? It wouldn't have been accepted. So they had to take the skills that he taught them and kind of go do their own thing. And it's almost like the same thing. Again, I'm getting a strong sense that if this came to light, it would feel like betrayal, or feel like you were being skulky or sneaky. And you'd have to drop the mic and really, you'd have to drop the bomb and gather up your stuff and leave the same day. But the Two of Wands really is about choosing the world. Like you're daring to do something different, even though you had this other thing established. And this is really about entrepreneurship. Now, what is beautiful about this, guys? Can we just say, okay, there's fire in all of these cards, and there are so many oranges and reds. And the card you got was entrepreneur. You got entrepreneur. You have the fire here in the Hermit's lantern. You have fire on all of the flames here. You've got these really burgundy reds. There's so much fall energy here, like autumn, right? And there's mountains. There's mountains in each of these. So the other thing I'm getting is that following this is not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. But what we've got is entrepreneur. Self-employment suits your disposition and intentions. Working for yourself allows you to better follow your intuition and divine guidance. We are your coworkers and teammates who remain loyally by your side and ensure your success in all ways. So look at this, guys. This is spiritual cards, right? So the universe is like saying, okay, dare to follow your heart. The other thing is, we talked about the Ace of Cups being that conduit to the universe. Like, it's your higher knowing. And the Hermit is very higher knowing. I think it is telling you also there is water in the background of this card. So I do think that it would be a challenge, but I think it's one that you can rise above, because the other thing is in all of these cards, you are sitting above the mountains, right? It's almost like you can handle this, like you got this, right? And the other thing is that I get the universe is going to help you map your way forward. Like just listen to your intuition and trust your skills. But I do think that, yeah, there's going to be a few, this isn't going to be smooth, but I think if you listen to your heart's guidance, that this is the right move for you. And entrepreneurship can be really anything. There's so many ways that you can kind of be your own boss, and really, also I just get the sense that you can take your previous knowledge and really serve the world in a new way. So wow, guys, that was really powerful. I love that. I love the Slow Tarot. It really is a beautiful deck. And it is available for sale. It's, what is it? Eden Art Gallery, which is Lacey Bryant's the gallery that she works for. So, all right. So last deck, the Spacious Tarot. How does the Ace of Cups manifest in your life? Okay, past energy, please. Ooh, okay. Go with the top card. Okay, present energy. Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay. This is so crazy. The Queen of Pentacles made an appearance in the first deck. Okay, future energy, please. Oh my gosh. Holy Toledo, guys. Hold on a second. Oh. Wow. Okay, I'm just gonna... This flew out to the side, so we're gonna keep them. Okay, and what is our angel? What's our angel advice? Got relationship. Wow. And family. All right, guys. This unlike the other decks, this is going to be love, just to tell you. Full on love read. Love read. Okay. So past. Wow, we've got some powerful energy here, guys. I need to take a minute to kind of take this in. You got two majors and you got two queens. And we do have some moon energy here. Okay. Okay. Yeah, sorry, I appreciate it, guys. I just needed a minute. So there's some really beautiful energy. We got a lot of cards too. But in the past, you've got the Four of Cups. And what's amazing about this deck is that you see like this raging river, and the Four Cups are on the river, right? And it's almost like an obstacle course. Like, okay, how do I get to the cups? Do I have to jump from the riverbank? And what if I miss? Then I'm just going to be in the river, you know, being pulled away with the tide. The other thing is that underneath it, you had the Two of Cups and the High Priestess. And the High Priestess, we talked about the Ace of Cups being that conduit to your higher knowledge, right? And the High Priestess is really, she's the guardian of the veil. You've got the moon in the conch shell, right? And you've got the sea beyond it. So what I'm kind of seeing here is that I'm seeing in the past that I'll be honest, you felt... I think I get the strong sense that you felt a little screwed, you feel like you've been a little screwed over by love. I feel like in the past, you know, because normally the Four of Cups is like the three cups standing in front of you and one cup being handed to you by the ether, right? Let me go ahead and find it real quick just so you can see it. And that really is like the Ace of Cups. Like the cup that's being handed to you from the cloud is normally the Ace of Cups, right? You know, so it's what you see is that this is the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith. On the right is the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, and you see 3 cups and a cup coming out from the cloud, right? And what's going on here? You've got a hand from a cloud, you know, bringing you a cup, right? So what you kind of see there is it's kind of the same energy. It's almost like your Ace of Cups is kind of like, well, I get this sense that in the past, I get this sense in the past that all you've wanted is a 2 of Cups, right? And we talked about that too, about in the intro, we talked about how the other thing is you see the same water lilies with the Ace, right? There's a lot of crossover. This is the 2 of Cups and this is the Ace in Rider-Waite. But what typically happens is that we talked in the intro with the Ace is that when love is, you know, it isn't that you're not supposed to put any effort into it, but when there's a true connection, love doesn't have to be hard. Love's not supposed to be, you know, it's supposed to be equal, right? And what I'm kind of getting is that all you've wanted is you've wanted it to be equal, right? It isn't that you wanted it to be easy, but you did just want it to be that, you know, you wanted it to be that cup of love coming out from the sky. You wanted it to be genuine and real, and, you know, and again, you know, just that easy connection with somebody who has the same morals as you, the same, you know, values as you, someone that you can connect with. And it's, what I'm getting is with the High Priestess, she is the guardian of the veil. She understands the 3D and the 5D. She knows, she understands the higher purpose of things, right? And I always say this, the 3rd deck number 3, I don't know, I think it's my spiritual pile. Please tell me in the comments if you read cards or if you know, if you work with stones or whatever you do, but I always get such a higher level with the 3rd deck. Like I get a sense that you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. And what I'm kind of getting here is that when you have, it's almost like you know what to look for, and it's almost like you know what the real love feels like. And it's because you do, I think you do have a conduit to that higher power. I think the other thing is that I think that you've had enough experiences in your life where, you know, like, again, you know, with the 4 of Cups, you've been through a few relationships, right? So you understand both sides of it. The other thing that I get is that I think you do understand that if a relationship doesn't work, that there's a higher reason for it, like there's a higher purpose. It isn't just that, you know, girls suck, guys suck. You know how it is when you get into that frustrated, like, well, why don't I ever meet anybody? Why do all my relationships fail? You know, you're above that. You're above that. And the other thing that I'm kind of getting is that you have had love. I don't think that this is, if this is this is a love relationship. I don't think that this is new to you. But I do think that in the past, I kind of read this one of 2 ways. Okay, I know I always say that. The first way I'm going to read it is if this is solely your energy. First off, I am getting a very feminine energy. I'm not trying to exclude my guys. If you're a guy watching this, this can totally be your energy too. You can manifest as a queen. All it means is that you're more in your feels with this energy, which is entirely possible because there's a lot of cups here. So if this is your energy, in the past or in the recent past, you've been feeling a little meh about love. And the reason that you've been feeling a little meh about love is because it just feels like it's so difficult, right? Right? And I think what it is that you know, your higher self knows that when it's the right thing, that it's going to be like this, right? It's going to be, the other thing is with those water lilies, it's like your crown chakra. It's like the lotus. It's like the peak of the flower. Like when, the other thing that I kind of get is that it's almost like, in the past or in the recent past, it's almost like you've refrained from being in relationships because it feels like a freaking obstacle course to get to part of my French, get to the damn cup, you know? And it's almost like you're telling yourself, it doesn't need to be this hard. The other thing that I'm kind of getting is that I think in the past that maybe you have had a few relationships that have evolved you spiritually, like they've really taught you a lot and you're grateful. I mean, goodness knows there are soulmates out there that are there to teach you spiritual lessons. And, you know, spiritual growth is all well and good, but it does leave you. And I will just come out and say this. I've had several conversations with good friends lately who have, every single one of them has told me that it seems like the moment that you're done, like you feel like you've been developed enough, you know, like you're like, okay, fine. The other thing with the high priest is it's like, okay, I am sick of spiritual development. I'm going to go sit in my temple and be single, because if I deal with one more, you know, poop head, you know, interaction with somebody, you know, it's almost like all of my friends have told me this. The moment they were ready to give up on love is when their true love came in, right? And that's what I'm kind of seeing here. I'm kind of seeing that, like maybe in the recent past you've just been through the ringer with love. And the other thing is that the high priestess can be kind of hidden, you know? So I am getting a strong sense that you were kind of at your rope's end. Right? I actually do have two other friends who had gone through the exact same thing. They had just been through like a real craphead relationship where the guy, the girl, it was guys, both of them were guys, but both of the guys did really crappy things. They up and left. They were just being real poopies. And then you know, they went through a mourning period, and then the moment they said, okay, I'm done with dating, I am sick, I've had enough development, I am developed enough, I'm just not dating anyone else. And then, of course, they turned right around and they ran face first into their soulmate, right? So what I'm kind of seeing here is in the past energy, I think the universe is really ready to hand you that cup. But it's almost like it's almost like this is hidden from you. You know, you don't know that you're about to that this, you know, all these trials that, you know, because I'm getting this in two ways. You know that it's not supposed to be this hard. That's what I keep hearing in my head. Why is it so hard? It's not supposed to be this hard is what, and you seem exacerbated about it. It's like, okay, you've got enough going on in your life. You don't need to do the freaking obstacle course over a raging river to get a cup. You know, it's like, you know, also is that meant for you if you're supposed to kill yourself getting it? No. Right? It's supposed to be, the universe will hand it to you. But the other thing that I'm getting is that I do think that the two ways I read this is that the universe did need to develop you a little bit more. And you're almost to you're at your rope's end where you're like, okay, thanks universe, I'm developed enough. Now I'm just moody and pissy. And if you handed me a cup right now, I would think that it was a trap, right? You know, and you saw that too. It does. It looks like, you know, it's a trap. Don't take it. Don't take the cup, right? You know, you're raising an eyebrow like, okay, what's in that? You know, is it more poison? What's in the cup? But I think the universe had to hide it from you. The other thing that I think it was developing in you a sense of self-respect. Because unfortunately, of course, all those bad relationships teach you what you really need and deserve. The other thing that I kind of get from this is that it's possible that you might have been dealing with somebody. Well, here, we'll get to this in a minute, but I think, yes, I think you if this is your energy, you were tired, you did not want to exert yourself. It's almost like you took yourself off the market, but the universe had a higher plan in place with this. So all this challenge was not for naught, but it was almost hidden from you. Either that or in your own intuition, you know that it's not supposed to be that hard. Right? The other thing is that these two cups look really perfect for each other, right? They're not exactly the same, but they're on the same level. And these cups don't look the same, right? You could kill yourself. Well, the third cup almost looks like it, but you know, you don't have to jump over, you don't have to do the Frogger thing to get it. So the present energy here, your current energy is, I do think it's that energy of you being fed up. Because again, one of those cups are going to be handed to you. I think it was preparing you. I also think that you needed a little time to cool down. You know, a little time to get, you know, to be ready for it. But then you are going to turn around. And again, remember how we said in the intro, this cup, the mountains are all fuzzy and out of focus, but they're clear when you look through the cup. I think what it was is when you learned your own, like when you filled your own cup first, you become super attractive. And the Guardian of Pentacles, she knows her own value, right? The Guardian of Pentacles is the Queen of Pentacles. The other thing is that I get that this was probably recent. If you're in North America, we just came into the winter season. Not even a month ago, we were still in fall. So it's quite possible that, over September, October, November, also this is a real summer kind of energy. Maybe you really did have like a crappy summer where, you were given the runaround, and that was your time of development. But I do think the universe is trying to give you someone, and the root of this is the Emperor, which is the divine counterpart. It's the, and the Empress did try, I think the Empress did try to pop out. This is the divine counterpart, right? This is the father figure. This is the divine masculine. And I think what it was is that it was almost like, okay, when we're ready, you're going to do just like my friends were doing. And believe me, I know of 4 people, and I have 4 female friends who had been through some crappy ass, couple of divorces, couple of really bad, a series of really bad dates where they were ready to give up. And again, I feel like it was them being developed a little bit, because dating will freaking do that to you. But then the moment that they felt that they filled their own cup, that they started doing, they said, okay, I'm going to give dating a break. They started doing their own things, started doing the things they love. They started giving the love within themselves. Like, first off, they filled their own cup. And then they started giving that love to other people. I know a lot of them were doing volunteer work. A lot of them were donating to causes, doing their own thing, getting their shine on. And then they turned right around and they ran headfirst into a man that was really their counterpart. And it was like the moment that you know your own value, you're going to meet your divine counterpart. That cup is going to be handed to you. The other thing is that those challenges, because mountains are challenges, they're going to come into focus. You're going to see why it was so hard before, right? And it was to develop your sense of self, your self-worth. And you see, she's sitting down in that forest. She's got one paw on that pentacle, like, I know what I'm worth, right? And this Emperor knows what you're worth too. Actually, this divine counterpart is going to be like, wow. Because the Queen of Pentacles is a woman of worth. She's a woman of value. The other thing is that she has strong values within herself. Now, moving forward, you've got the Queen of Swords and you've got the Three of Wands in reverse. So what I'm kind of getting here is that we're going back into that kind of singleton energy, and we had a tarot on the swords not too long ago. Now, and this is interesting because it's going from fall to winter, right? And these are 2 different queens. So what could happen is that it's entirely possible that you might have met someone, but again, you might be kind of feeling like you're not sure where you want this to go. The other thing that I kind of get is that there might be something about this situation that has you putting boundaries up. Because the Three of Wands, and this came out in reverse. The Three of Wands means that it's almost like you have to wait, or there's something in this situation that you feel like isn't it. The other thing is, with it being a 3 in reverse, it's quite possible that you really feel this loving connection to someone, but this person that you feel this connection to might be a father. Or they might have, there might be something in this situation where this could be a boss. I know that sounds kind of funny, but there's just something about this situation where you really have to put up boundaries. You have to put up boundaries. This person really does see your value, sees your worth. But there's something about this situation that the other thing that I'm kind of getting here is that maybe, again, with the evolution that you've had in the past, you're really not trying to jump into something too quickly. You know, the other thing that I kind of get is that it's quite possible that you might be dating somebody who has children, and that might be a consideration for you, where you want to be very careful, or you know, the Three of Wands in reverse can be that you feel like you're waiting for ships that are never going to come in, right? So it's quite possible that you feel this connection to someone, but it's somehow blocked by circumstances, and you have to be careful with it. You have to really, the other thing is that you have to see this relationship real clearly. That is something that I'm getting through from both your past, because I think in your past there were a few of those relationships where you just said, oh well, you only saw the good in the person, and that's fine, but you have to see relationships very clearly. If you start dating somebody who's still married or separated or has kids, and you've never had kids, and you might be ending up, what I'm kind of getting is that you might somehow end up being a third wheel in a situation, and you have to decide, you have to look at it very clearly and decide if that's what you want. But I do think that this person does see your value, and I think that you have a strong sense of self. I think you're approaching the situation in the right way. You're not putting on rose-colored glasses. You're seeing things very, very clearly. The other thing that I'm getting is that I think that you are, this could also be your energy where you might be the Emperor and the Queen of Pentacles, where you might be saying, I also kind of get from this that you might be choosing to remain single for a while. It's almost like you want to be in control, and you do want to, I think that you're liking the empowerment. The other thing that I get is that maybe you're focusing more on work. Or the other thing that I kind of get is that maybe, yeah, I'm getting a real CEO vibe from this. You could potentially feel like, okay, I'm kind of done with dating for a little while. Let me go ahead and give my love in other ways, right? You kind of filled your own cup and started feeling good about yourself. Maybe you put your focus into work and got really accomplished in that. I do also think that you lead other people. And then I just think moving forward, you know, I don't think that, the other way that I kind of read it is maybe presently you're kind of filling your own cup and you are very much in control. But moving forward, it's one of those things where if you are interested in creating a relationship, like, you know, with someone else, you may need to put, you know, it's okay to have boundaries, it's okay to see things clearly, but you might be stifling your own growth because you want to remain in control all the time, right? And again, you know, these past relationships weren't there to I'm hearing shamanic test. It's almost like, you know, it's almost like if something comes along that's relationship related, you're so skeptical about it because you have been through the ringer a few times. But what that does is, you know, it's okay to fill your own cup. That's part of the lesson. But you know, it's going to be an internal winter or you know, it'll never progress. Your ships won't ever come in unless you relinquish some of the control. But on the other side of it, if it does look too good to be true, or if someone's approaching you with a situation that you might have to deal with in the long term, you know, like, again, you know, if someone comes to the table and they have family they're responsible for, they have children from a previous marriage, or if they're not completely single, you know, then you do want to scrutinize that, you know. The other thing is that I feel like it's the power is with you, right? And you are self-sufficient, right? You are self-sufficient. Now, one last way, and just to throw it out there, is that it could quite possibly be that in the past you really felt a connection to someone, like you really did, but they were being real mysterious, right? There was something hidden. The other thing that I get is that you felt a real connection to this person, but they were being kind of distant. They were being kind of aloof. The other thing I kind of get is that they were almost making you kind of work, you know, to get to them. You couldn't reach them. And then what I'm seeing here is the present energy is that, again, with a Queen of Pentacles and an Emperor, this could very well be a situation of, because we have two queens here, it could be a situation where, because the Ace of Cups can be a child. So what it can be is that maybe you did enter into a relationship with someone, but what happened was it wasn't a real solid commitment, but it resulted, you know, a child was result, which would be, you know, a little bit of mountains. The other thing that I'm kind of getting is that this could have been recent, because I am seeing a transition of seasons here. You know, this is kind of summer, fall, and then winter. But, you know, the Emperor, the other thing that I get is that, you know, this is a cooperation. You do have to cooperate with this person because they might be the father or parent of your child. And then you being the Queen of Pentacles, it's, you know, it's possible that there's financial involvement here, because, and then as you move forward, you know, and I hate to say it this way, but the Queen of Swords is usually a single mother kind of energy. So what I'm kind of seeing here is that it's potential that, you know, you do have a child with somebody, but as you move forward, it's not likely to progress. The relationship with this person is not likely to progress. And I do feel like this if this is a father of your child, this person wants to be in control. This person wants to be in control. Your focus is taking care of your child. I think that you do want to take care of your child in a very quality way. But I think your expectation was that it was going to be in partnership with this Emperor. And I do think the Emperor is going to be responsible, but I'm not getting a strong sense that they're going to be in like a permanent fixture in your life. So either that, or there's going to be like a real long delay and you feel like you're kind of holding things down by yourself. The other thing that I get is that it's almost like you have to be very careful. You have to see things very, very clearly in order to manage this situation. But the Oracle card that you got is you got relationship. And the relationship card says your primary relationship is with yourself and God. Every other relationship follows from there. To attract, heal, or balance a relationship, then snuggle more closely with your loving Creator. As you feel safe and loved within, so shall your other relationships bloom and prosper. And we did say that the cup was like a conduit. It's like being connected spiritually, emotionally. So yeah, and we have a lot of cards of spirit. Like the High Priestess is a very spiritual card. So again, I think in the past that I think you've learned a lot from the love relationships that you have. I am getting a strong sense of independent energy. I'm not really so much getting a child, that's a possibility, but I'm getting an independent energy. And I think all these challenges in your past relationships, they did evolve you where you've grown spiritually. But I do think that you're filling your own cup, you're learning your own worth. I think you want to remain in control. It's almost like you don't want to be in love. You just want to be enough for yourself. You want to make money and feel stable in your own self. I think you're gaining self-worth. But I just think that if you go too long in that energy, you know, you see the seasons change here. If you hold on to that independence, definitely, you know, it says here that your relationship is with yourself and God. You know, but I think it is also telling you that once you feel safe and loved within, so shall your other relationships prosper. So, you know, if you start feeling isolated, or you start feeling like that Queen of Swords, like it's only me, I can't let anyone in, try to connect more with your spirituality, because that Three of Wands, you really do want to turn it around. You know, you want to light the path forward, not block it, right? And I think this is a call, because the other thing is the Queen of Swords is head over heart, right? I think I think the same energy that's giving you strength, you don't want to lose that connection. You know, try to stay connected to that spirituality and know that you're not alone. You're not alone. And the other thing that I'm getting is, you know, please don't be bitter. You know, believe me, we've got jackets for that club, where again, when you've been through a number of really bad dates, or you feel like you've just been screwed over in relationships, and you're just like, why do I even try? You know, I am better. You know, what I'm getting from this is I am better off alone. The moment that you start saying that to yourself, energy follows thought. And when you get so guarded to that extent, the universe wants to hand you a cup, right? The universe wants to give you that cup. The other thing is, it wants you to look through that cup and get clarity for all those struggles, those mountains that you've climbed. There's a reason, and when you fill your own cup, it becomes clear that those challenges become clear. It's part of your development. But the other thing is, I am seeing that this is a unipeg, a pegacorn. I never know what you call those, but it's a unicorn Pegasus, and those are very, very rare. And what I am feeling here is you are a rare bird. You're a rare bird. And I think that the universe has, the other thing is that I feel like this love that when you love yourself and when you're leading, the other thing is that I think the universe needs you to lead. The other thing I kind of get is that some of this pain that you went through is helping to guide others. It's how your experiences is helping to give love to others. But I do think as you go to the future, you don't want to remain too entrenched in that hard energy. But I do think that I do think that it does, you know, it's not saying jump into a relationship. Don't have to do that. But, you know, continue to fill your own cup. As you fill your own cup, try to see those challenges through the lens of that love. And then, you know, when you keep that conduit, there'll be a natural balance between you maintaining your boundaries and you knowing your own worth and being able to share that with another person. But I do get the sense that this is a lot of self-love that you need right now. The other thing that I'm kind of getting is that maybe if you were a little bit vulnerable in relationships in the past, you might have been attracting, because I know it's so trite to say it, but if you don't love yourself, you're going to attract other people who treat you the same way, right? So so instead of looking at the world like it's an enemy, you know, really, get that magnetism going, you know. The other thing that I kind of get is that, you know, this is a lot of control that I'm feeling here. And I think that it's just telling you, you know, kind of open yourself up to love a little bit, especially the higher love. Know that you are loved, know that you are special, that you have special gifts. And the last thing that I'm kind of getting is that I think that you're getting frustrated because you feel like you're blocked, or you feel like you can't move forward, or that you'll never have love, that you'll never be in a normal, healthy relationship. And please know that that is not true. That is not true. I think sometimes the universe does put us on journeys. It puts us on paths because there's a higher purpose that we need to serve. But I assure you, one of the sayings that always gets me through the day is that my mom always says there would never be a fire in your heart that the universe does not mean to ignite. So that just means that if your heart's desire is to be in a loving relationship with someone else, that would never be denied you. That is your birthright. You will have it. It just, you know, there just might be a little bit of spiritual growth in between. And I know that stinks. I hate it. Believe me, I'm right there with you. Believe me. But the answer here is that self-love and that higher love and knowing that you're loved, because the moment that you have that outpouring of it, what is meant to be yours will come to you like a magnet. It will zoom right into your life. And it's just kind of telling you that, you know, that Three of Wands can be flipped. It really can, if you nurture that connection with the divine and with yourself. But wow, guys, oh my gosh, You know, and it's so funny, you know, anytime the Ace of Cups comes up in a regular read, you're like, oh, new love coming in. But here we're all like, you know, we're running the gamut of self-love, spiritual love, career change. So, you know, but that was a great read. I thank you so much for joining me. I really got so much out of that, and it was so great to pull out the angel cards. I really enjoy using those. I have a few angel decks, and they always just inspire me so much. They make me feel so loved. But if you get a chance, please join me back on Saturday for the weekly energy card reading. If you celebrate the holidays, I hope that you have a wonderful holiday, that you get a chance to spend time with yourself, with family, with loved ones. Please be safe, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.